Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 230th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by the qualified draftsman, Jaden.
Yo.
Yo.
Dude,
And
I was meant to say fucking howdy. I keep stealing Liam's thing. God damn it.
you were meant to say fucking howdy? Or, like, can you do that next week? You say fucking howdy, you know?
No, I'm trying to reduce my swearing.
Are you actually?
Nah, not really.
And we've also got PTA's number one fanboy, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Howdy.
Are you trying to reduce your swearing?
Like at the start of the episode, yeah. I don't wanna. It's too early for that, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, the deeper we
I want
get
to start
into
off strong.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is The Great Gatsby, which opened in the US on May 10th, 2013. It was directed by Baz Luhrmann, who I think we've only covered once, so he's now a friend of the show. That's pretty amazing. There you go, Baz. Congrats. This is a period drama, and the synopsis says, a writer and Wall Street trader, Nick Carraway, finds himself drawn to the past and lifestyle of his mysterious millionaire neighbor, Jay Gatsby, amid the righteous... Wait, that's not the... Is that the right word? Oh, yeah, righteous, yeah. Parties of the Jazz Age. You guys have both seen this film before. I don't know how many times, though, so I'll start with you, Jaden. How many times have you seen it? What do you think of Baz Luhrmann's The Great Gatsby? Because... I mean, it's it's a classic novel. I expect there had been adaptations before, but Letterboxd told me there were like 4. So,
I've seen the film many times, and I love it. And I just think it is pretty much perfect in every single way. I think it's got some of the best editing I've seen. I think it's got some of the best visuals, best costumes, sets, directing, acting, story, everything about it. I think that this is just simply one of the best. I think it's just one of my favorite films in general. I said, spoiler for the end. I'm gonna give it a fucking 10. And a sincere fuck you to anyone that doesn't like it, pretty much. I love what Baz Luhrmann has done with this. I think it is exceptional stuff, incredible.
wow.
Like this episode's pretty much gonna be nothing but me gushing, unless I have to vehemently defend it from you. So
No, I don't think you will. I don't think you will.
Yeah.
That's good. I didn't I knew you'd seen it before. I didn't realize you were this passionate about it ever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. But have you always been in this film? Like this rewatch didn't change that at all? Or?
No. It's been sitting at a 9 for a long time, and this was pretty much the rewatch of that.
Yeah.
It was the rewatch that I needed for it to to be able to mirror the score again.
Cement itself, sure. I have never seen this movie. That's why I nominated it for the poll and won. Thank you very much. And the experience of watching it kind of played out. I don't know if this is a weird analogy, but this is what I thought of. It kind of played out like Gatsby as a character in a way, where at first I'm trying to figure out what I'm watching. I had no idea what I was watching for the first half an hour because it literally Gatsby finally Leo turns up 30 minutes in. I checked. So then it's like, okay, I got no idea what I'm watching. Then he turns up. Then we start, what's his whole deal? Then, okay, I start to get a grip on it, I think, as a bit of a love story. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. I think I get that. Even still, it wasn't sitting quite right with me. I feel like there was a bit more going on. But I was okay. It seemed, on the surface, the story seemed fairly simple for the remaining, 45 minutes, whatever. And for the following 45 minutes. And then, I don't know, then it sort of just became clear that was also sort of a front in a way, where it was kind of like Gatsby, where, I don't know, there were just some layers to this film that I could sense that only sort of revealed themselves in the final minutes. And I'm still trying to peel them back. But yeah, I mean, I can say for sure that I wrote a ton of notes in a good way, just noticing things, trying to take it all in. And the result is a film that feels like a big swing. It's very large, very impressive. So yeah, I think it's a great piece from Baz. I'm sort of still trying to process it in a way, just because the whole experience watching it for the first time was kind of bizarre. It was really enjoyable, but it was really cool having no idea what the book was about, having no idea what this was. So yeah, I really enjoyed the experience. Fitzy, how many times have you seen it, and what did you think?
I think this is my first rewatch. Yeah. I don't know. I think I think I like it. Any argument that you make against this film can kind of be pretty easily deflated by like pointing to like the intentionality and just like the kind of, well, that's the point, kind of like that kind of argument, right? Like I think the ugliness of the film and the kind of constant garishness, it works in its favor most of the time to like convey the shallowness and the kind of the decadence and all the themes that kind of go into this. But I think there are some moments where the opposite of that isn't conveyed as well. The moments that aren't supposed to be like that. So yeah, overall, I think I like it. I think it's somewhat enjoyable, but yeah, I'm not nearly as passionate about it as Jaden is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just because I feel like, because this is a rewatch for you, and obviously Jaden's seen this film a million times, I feel like I'm still like 2 steps behind you guys in terms of understanding it. So like when you
I've read the
say,
book, so 3 shots behind me. There you go.
have you actually?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really helpful. That's great. So like, yeah, I'm definitely. You guys are gonna help catch me up here. Where it's like, so when you say scenes where it's like there's a certain intention behind it, it's meant to be a certain way. You use the word decadence. That's a great word, by the way. Like, can you literally just explain that to me? Like, pick a scene and what the themes are in that sense that you're talking about.
I think like the party scenes, that the party scenes are very cringe and like ugly to me, but I think that's like that's the intentional, right, to show the kind of shallowness of like this environment and these people and that kind of thing. I think that's like a thing that carries throughout most of the film. But like where it doesn't work, I think that needs more explaining. I think I'll get into it later, but just like some of the more romantic, not romantic as in the romance, like love scenes, but like the more romantic elements of the film in terms of like romanticism, where that ugliness shouldn't be there, I think. But I think for the most part, it works for, the most of the film. Just like bathing this kind of scene in, I think the film's fairly ugly, like intentionally, but just like the overdone makeup and CG and that kind of thing. I think it adds to like the claustrophobia that you kind of feel with these people. So yeah, I don't know if Jane knows with this, but
I definitely want to get Jane's take. I didn't see the. I don't know. Like I can definitely see what you're saying in terms of. I think I assume the source material is critical of the lavish lifestyle stuff. I assume. And that makes sense. I didn't really feel it as much in what Baz was doing here. I don't know. I didn't think the big parties were. I didn't feel any sort of negativity watching them. It wasn't like I don't know. Like, I know I want to be careful. I know some people like watch this stuff and think it's like the coolest thing ever, and then want to live that life, and then it's like it's like the people that like The Wolf of Wall Street for that reason is cringe. But at the same time, so I wasn't that, but at the same time, I wasn't also grossed out by them at all. I wasn't sort of put off by that side of it. I sort of more took in the huge scale of it as sort of, I don't know, like, I guess I related it more to Gatsby as a character and like sort of what he's done and the lengths he's gone to, kind of thing, as opposed to how I felt about its reflection on society or anything like that. I guess that was just my first reaction. I don't know. How do you feel about that? How did you react to all the big party scenes and stuff?
Yeah, I think. How much do you think you carry themes from the novel into your perception of the film?
First time I watched the film, I think I read like half of the novel. Like now that I've read it all, it probably is like a major part of my perception of it.
Because I think it can kind of come back to the fact that, sorry to spoil some of your trivia here, Zach, but I was reading that Leo was talking about how when you're adapting the character of Gatsby, you can focus on like a bunch of shit, but like he brought it down to like the great lover, the seedy gangster, or like the hopeless romantic, or like he kind of had 3 kind of figures that you could like make Gatsby, and then you talk about the one that the film chose to focus on, which was the lover, and I think that kind of can be applied to most of the other things. Like I'm sure in the novel, the parties can kind of seem like this kind of debauched display of decadence, whatever the fuck you want to say. But for the purpose of the film, I don't think that was intent. I think you get like a kind of hint of it in terms of some of the characters you see there and some of the actions you get, but it's never meant to be the emphasis of like, this feels seedy and gross and weird. Like a little bit, yeah, but it's meant to more focus on it as an act of love and that he's doing, yeah, like you said, like the lengths he goes to.
It's
Yeah, that's how I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really that the parties are seedy. They actually feel more decadent in this than they do in the novel, I guess. And that's kind of what I mean with what I was talking about earlier, where the romantic elements of the novel don't carry over as much. Because even though there's this kind of display of decadence in the parties in the novel, they're not. I mean, when I watch the party scenes in this, I see like the crazy facial expressions and the kind of garishness, as I said earlier, which I think is like it's very ugly to me. Just the overabundance of colors in these party scenes, right? There's no and the kind of claustrophobia of them as well. So it's almost like the opposite of what you said, but yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I read the book, so I don't want to get too deep into like the weeds or whatever. But yeah,
I think I get what you're saying as well, and I think the garishness of it is helped along by Nick's perspective, and kind of we're told that he leaves New York hating the place and all that.
Yeah,
and I think the parties are definitely a contributor to it. I mean, obviously the ending is the main thing, but I think it all kind of congeals into what into his like everything congeals into like his final feeling. But I don't think you're wrong, but I'm just surprised. Like I agree with your fact and how you stand with it. I'm just surprised that that's how you as a viewer. I don't know. No, don't worry. Yeah, that's all good.
well, like, what do you get from
No.
the party scenes? Because like,
Yeah.
I mean, there are some moments where I see the kind of the grandeur of them, and kind of like see it from that more romantic element. But I like for the most part, they seem really like intentionally kind of cringe to me, and like pointing at the shallowness of these people. Because they're all kind of background characters at the party anyway. It's not like in Babylon, for example, we kind of get a more in that party scene, we get a more holistic view of the room, and we get to like know some of the people in it, and it feels full, But this party,
Yeah,
even
that's
though it's
right.
so full, it feels like really empty. It feels like everyone in that scene is more or less an extra. So I don't. Yeah, how do you feel when you watch those party sequences? I guess.
Yeah, and I think that feeling is fine because that's probably how it feels to Nick as well because he's only really looking for Gatsby. But it's your description of cringe is what kind of hooks me up. Like
It's very cringe. I mean, like I'm thinking specifically of like the musician's face and the kind of the dancer's face at the in the fountain and that kind of thing. I think they make very exaggerated. They have very exaggerated kind of expressions. And yeah, I don't know. The whole thing just feels cringe to me. I don't know.
I think that's the. I think the expressions there are kind of are blends of like Baz's interpretation of the jazz age and what really went on, and then just kind of how to depict it for the film in like a comfortable way, so that you understand the time period a bit.
I think that's probably true.
Like I don't really like, and like I think the overexpressiveness is something that is evident in the art of the time in this transition from theaters to film, and maybe even so in music. I don't know how much so, but like obviously these people are taught to be expressive and stuff for the stage because everyone from the back needs to see you. So I kind of take that as still like
Right,
that sensibility still coming through. Yeah, theatrical. Yeah, I guess is probably the perfect word I'm looking for. in their faces and in their performances. And I think that's just you see it in the film as Baz's attempt to kind of showcase the time a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you compared it to Babylon because
Mm.
I mean, that was the obvious comparison I was drawing as well. I totally agree with what you're saying, where the difference in how um, full the room feels. I don't know. Babylon just gives you such a range of emotions. Well, I mean, that one's way more seedy. Like, obviously, like, people fucking all the drugs they're doing and shit. Um, all the all the crazy shit going on in that room that's like illegal, and just that one grosses me out more. But then it also has this. I don't know. I guess it covers the range of emotions in a stronger way. Um, where I didn't really get whether it was the seedy side, the cringe side, the whatever word you want to use. I sort of just got the scale from this as opposed to anything else. Because the characters, I don't know, the characters weren't doing anything that crazy to me. They were just, I don't know, they were just
Mm.
dancing, drinking. Like, all right, good for you guys. I don't know if we went back and one of them was snorting something, I'd be like, oh, there we go, there it is, But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I couldn't. I guess I didn't react to it in that way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like there aren't really any emotions to the party scenes, and I think that's. I mean, I think the party scenes are like one of the the film. One of the parts of the film that works the best that adheres to like Baz's style, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
As you said, like they show the scale, and that's like the main thing they're supposed to show.
And they feel
So,
exaggerated
yeah.
too, in that sense.
Hyper exaggeration.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, no, I appreciated them for that. In terms of the seedy side of, I don't know, I keep using these words interchangeably, but like in terms of feeling, I don't know, putting myself in Nick's shoes and feeling this sort of just disdain for New York and the people and everything around them. I guess I probably felt that the most. I don't know if you agree, Fitzy. I've probably felt that the most, like probably early on. As we get to know the characters more, I feel like I lose touch of that because I don't know, I start connecting with the characters, and maybe that's intentional as well. But like the scene that comes to mind right away is like, when Nick goes to with Tom and his mistress, and they have that party in that apartment or whatever, like early on. That was obviously just gross. I wasn't a fan of that. That was where, like, I don't know, them all just getting all. That I guess that's where I could relate to more what you're saying, Vincy. Whereas it's like, I don't like any of these
Yeah.
people. I don't like how they're influencing my guy Nick. You know what I mean? So I don't know
Yeah.
if that was one of those scenes that you felt that way as well, or were there others?
Yeah, I mean, I think the party does a good job of like kind of showing the senators and the kind of the established people in society who are kind of being bribed or whatever. Like it's kind of implied that they're part of some bribery from Gatsby, but like
Yeah,
that scene's very good for that as well. I think Isla Fisher's like when I'm talking about the ugliness of the film, I think Isla Fisher's makeup is supposed to be like very ugly in that scene. Just I don't know, like the way her hair and just the way everything looks so manufactured.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but like, yeah, the party scene there is pretty great. But like, I think the worst scene of the film is like at the end of that, more or less the end of that scene. The scene of the film that fails the most for me, as compared to the book, I guess. Which is just like when he looks on the balcony, and he has that kind of monologue about seeing the
Being
secrets
within.
like through like the different windows and like
Yeah,
the kind of vibrancy of life that you get from looking up at the window and like wondering about the secrets but behind different apartments and that kind of thing. I think in this scene is like the same style is carried over throughout the whole film, right? And it doesn't really work here because that's a scene in the book that's actually supposed to have some kind of like romantic element to it, in terms of romanticism. And like what we get from it is just kind of it feels in line with the rest of the film, where it feels very like awkward and we see like a kind of exaggerated thing where we see like the scene of the woman looking wistfully over the city and that kind of thing, but it's supposed to be more subdued in that moment. But like the film is never subdued because that's what the film is, you know.
Mm.
So, but like, yeah, and also like Nick looking down on himself and seeing himself, I think is very like that's an awkward moment. But um, I mean, that's a scene that doesn't work for me, I guess, because of the book. Um, so taking it by itself, it's not that bad. But like the party scene in the apartment is definitely one of those good like context building scenes for like um being disgusted with these people, I guess. So it works for that. Yeah.
I wanted to actually dive pretty deep into Nick as a character. I feel like there's a lot there. First of all, that scene we're talking about here with where he gives that monologue of looking at it being, I think he describes it as being like I'm botching this, but it was like, he's on the inside, but he's
Within and
also
without.
within and without. Exactly. Thank you. And his whole thing in the film is interesting where is he like this bystander observer character?
Bit of a wallflower.
Yeah, I guess. And I don't know, like he mentions turning 30 and then like bringing on a decade of loneliness. I'm like, oh, Nick. But everyone likes him. He's important to all the other characters. I like him. How can Tobey Maguire? How can you not? Kind of. He's charming. But yeah, I don't know. Like how that relates thematically is interesting and something I guess I'm still trying to figure out. Where like he does in his judgment of all the other characters, I suppose. Of because that's sort of the whole thing. Like the whole ending is about his perception and judgment of the characters around him in New York and the setting and the lifestyle and everything. So that's sort of what he feels like throughout. He sort of just feels like this fly on the wall, sort of just critiquing the whole thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if the book makes it feel that way. Yeah, go for it.
I mean, he kind of does and is that way, but also like he's a passive character like that, but also like he is supposed to be a bit of a hypocrite as well. Because like one of the first things, like you talked about judgment, one of the first things he says is that his dad told him to see the good in people, and that's led him to reserve all judgment, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And then also the fact that he kind of lies to several people throughout the film, like he protects different people's interests, and even though there's opposing, like he lies to one people who he lies to two different people who are both like opposed to each other's interests, I guess, throughout the film. So yeah, I think Nick's charm as a passive character is kind of supposed to lure you in a bit and make you forget that he's part of this hypocrisy in a way. But also he, like in terms of like relatively, he's also supposed to be fine. I think
that's funny. That's funny because he's kind of in terms of the within and without thing. It's like as you're watching it, he feels like he's us in a way. He feels like he's the audience, sort of just here,
right,
sort of
like
just
surrogate,
yeah, and that sort of carries over with his narration as well, sort of just observing things and pointing things out to us. So in that sense, he's without. But then, yeah, you're right. Like he does that. He engages in the dynamics in those ways that you mentioned, and he also, like all the other characters. Like if you ask them, they all he's one of them. Like all the other characters really admire him and like him and want him to be there and like come in, Nick, all the time. Always that's always the thing. Like come in, what are you doing? Don't leave. We love you. And like so, it's like they're always beckoning him and see him as like one of them as well. So yeah, that is an interesting dichotomy there. I know I was taking that, but yeah, I don't know. I just noticed that. That's interesting. How do you feel about Nick Jane as a protagonist, as Tobey Maguire's performance? Anything like that?
As Liam's performance as Nick Carraway, you mean?
That's right.
No, yeah, I don't really have anything to add to the intellectual side of it. I've always kind of liked Nick as the passive, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's always I think it's always fun to take on stories um where your main character is in the action. You know, he lives around the action, and I think it's just like I think it's always an interesting kind of dynamic to explore. You know, in a literary way, whether it's written or like in film or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do like that side of it. Yeah, of yeah, the grand things happening around you rather than being a part of it. Although he is a part of it, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the
I mean,
That's the interesting thing.
I think like the narration is from him is awesome, right? Like, I mean, it's awesome in the book, and it's awesome here. Just as as a passive character, like the narration is kind of what carries him, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
he
That's
does
what
lie
made
to
me
us. He
relate
says
to
that he
it.
got drunk twice, and he says the second time was that night in the apartment. But then he also gets blind drunk at Gatsby's party later. So you know, he's a bit of a
That's
bullshitter.
true. Yeah, because the narration's meant to be like him in the future writing that shit. Didn't think of that. That's good. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, yeah. Well, so clearly Nick's a liar, and a hypocrite, but I still liked him.
Nah, what was his medical diagnosis at the start? Insomniac and anxiety and all that shit. Maybe just
alcoholic.
Yeah, alcoholic. Oh,
Yeah.
alcoholic! He denies his fucking drunkenness.
Yeah. Well, he's an unreliable narrator. Yeah.
He is. Yeah, so I was going to
not
ask,
to the
like,
extent
yeah.
of others, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
yeah. People say he's an unreliable narrator more or less because he's just a first person narrator, but also because like the lies that he tells, and the fact that we don't feel that bad about them, and I mean little things you can kind of pick up like this. So it's not like he's rearranging the whole story or anything. But yeah, he is unreliable.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you pointed that out because I was going to ask, and my whole thing, like, I don't think framing a story in a way where you have a first person narrator automatically makes them an unreliable narrator. Like, I understand how real people function. Like, obviously, like, yes, literally, if you have one person telling you a story, you're only getting their side of the story. Therefore,
Yeah,
you
by
can't. Yeah, I
default,
get that. Yeah. But as a story, I'm just saying, as a storytelling device, I don't think by default that the way an author has chosen to tell you that story therefore means you shouldn't trust what they're saying. Like, I think that needs to be inserted in some way. But it is in those ways you're pointing out as well. You know, like, just because something's first person doesn't mean I shouldn't trust what you're saying from a narrative point of view, in my opinion. But yeah, no, that what you pointed out, that the film does have that, and the story does have that. Yeah, I don't know. Nick's still also, like, I guess part of what makes him likable to me is he also still has that, like, Tobey Maguire brings that Tobey Maguire charm to it, you know, where it's like he has that loser vibe, which is just fun, you know. but like in a way that I just really appreciated. And I like when he's my favorite was when he was walking around the party just holding his invitation, so trying to show it to everyone. It's like, I was invited. Here's my, like, they did it like 3 times. Like, dude, it's fine. Like, if you figured it out by now, you're fine. So that was funny. Yeah, the lovable loser angle was fun. But yeah, his dynamic was with Gatsby as well. As a way to get more into Gatsby, I guess. It was it was weirdly funny at times as well. It was it was probably the most interesting dynamic in the movie. Where in terms of like what Gatsby sees in Nick and why Gatsby seems to really connect with Nick. I mean, at first, you know, as sort of the mystery of what's going on is unfolding, it's sort of like, oh, okay, we don't know what's going on at first, and then it's like, oh, okay, so Gatsby's just doing this because Nick's an in to Daisy, got it, kind of thing, you know. So then immediately, then I'm starting to think, oh, I know, how much does Gatsby really care about Nick or like Nick or anything like that? Is he, you know, at this point, I still don't understand exactly like how much, what kind of person Gatsby is in terms of, is he just a manipulator? Is he an all bad person? All that kind of thing. But as it grew on, like, and by the time we get to their ending scene and everything, it's just sort of like these people, these guys are like friends, I guess. And it was just really interesting to see that evolve because I wasn't sure that's where it was going to go. Like for all I knew, like I sort of was getting vibes of like, is Gatsby going to turn on this guy? Like, I feel like because there was clearly something criminal going on there, but the film also and the story, I assume, never fully leans into like making Gatsby sinister or anything. Even though I thought it might have. The most it's funny. It's sort of, from my point of view, it sort of skirted around it a little bit, where it almost sort of made it like he's not bad at all. You know, like the biggest reveal you get in that sense is that okay, he works for a gangster and they sell alcohol in Prohibition,
Mm.
and it's like okay.
Yeah,
I guess I'm wondering how I'm meant to view that. How I'm meant to view Gatsby is there meant to be this sort of like, oh, but he's a criminal, but like, whereas the film didn't even make me feel like that was bad. He was doing anything bad at all.
I mean, he's definitely doing bad shit. He was a bootlegger, as you said, and also I think that wasn't there another thing? Wasn't there like a drug thing or something? Was that just the fact that he was selling alcohol
Drugstore,
at
as in like a medicine thing. You know, drugstores is what the Yankees call like pharmacies.
Yeah. I thought it was
Yeah.
That's right. I thought he was just selling alcohol at pharmacies essentially.
But that goes back to what I was talking about earlier, just with Leo's just talking about what you choose to focus on with the character when you adapt him.
Right, exactly. So it's like, I guess I don't know. Do you know how that differs? Do you remember how that differs from the book, Fitzy? Because the film gave me what I'm saying is that the film gave me the sense that, like, sure, he was a bootlegger, but like, I don't know, in Prohibition, is that really bad? Like, Prohibition was sort of bullshit anyway, right? So like, does anyone really care about that? I guess.
Yeah, weren't all the worst gangsters bootleggers like Al Capone and those people? I mean,
yeah, sure, yeah.
You're introducing chaos to society. The rules are, I don't know, like he's definitely supposed to be a bit bad. Like, he's definitely supposed to be a criminal. It's not like he's not, you know. But I think the seediness is, it's not fully leaned into, and I don't think, like even in the book, you're not supposed to see him as like the worst gangster, character or anything like that. But
right,
you still acknowledge that he's a part of this, this criminal world, and that I mean, I think there's a few scenes in this. I think when he's like, yelling in a hushed tone at the telephone, where you can see that there is this other side to him. And I think that's more or less what the book does. I think it carries over that same energy. Yeah.
Okay. So what does that say about Nick then? Because Nick seems to not give a flying fuck about that. To be honest, like his final review of Gatsby is glowing. I mean, and in some ways it's justified, but then if I don't know, I guess just from that outcome, I was just kind of like, I feel like the film's not giving me anything to really make me feel like Gatsby's shady. To be honest,
I mean, yeah,
it's not like Nick said anything that was like, he was a criminal, but like Nick didn't seem to care at all about that.
Yeah.
Once he learned the full what he perceived as the full truth, he considered it all. And that's what I guess could change the way you view the way that New York turned on Gatsby. Like I assume, I mean, New York turned on Gatsby for multiple reasons, but if one of them is the fact, he was secretly a criminal or whatever, then like, I don't know, shouldn't I, as the audience member, want to relate to that a bit more?
Yeah, but New
the
York
film
doesn't turn on him for that reason. They turn on him because he's framed for Myrtle's death and all that.
Yeah, but isn't that part of it though? Where it's like, but he was also this and that,
Maybe.
Yeah, but again, like we're seeing it from Nick's perspective, right?
Yeah.
So that's what helps make Gatsby look like a decent guy.
That's true.
He's the only one at the funeral, right? So like, he's going to be the one who's going to vouch for him, more or less, because he's like, he thinks he's seen this other side of Gatsby. But yeah, I think it was kind of part of like his downfall, right? Like I don't know, that they discover like the origin to his wealth, but I don't know. I can't really remember that part.
Yeah, I think so.
There was kind of a quick like moment where they showed all the newspapers and stuff.
Yes,
I don't remember.
That's what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Well, but it also might speak to the fact that like everyone else in New York is shitty as well. It might be the other point of it. as to like why they don't like care about like Gatsby's criminal dealings, because you know Tom's an adulterer, Daisy kills a woman.
Sure,
You
sure,
know,
sure.
it's like there's shitty people everywhere. So what's one
Nick's like
bootlegger
compared to them, yeah.
and a hurtful bootlegger at that? You know, it's like
Yeah, he's a hopeful
Yeah.
bootlegger, so it's fine.
No, I mean people know when the parties are on. Like he's bribed the commissioner and stuff like that.
yeah,
So you know,
So I guess I'm very much stuck in Nick's point of view, and in a way the film's point of view by extension. So like maybe if this discussion is meant to make me challenge that point of view, then I think that's fair. I think that's interesting. But yeah, I'm just saying as I was watching it, I didn't view Gatsby negatively for his activity in that sense, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm still curious as to what drew these characters together outside of that initial thing I was talking about of Gatsby wanting to use
yeah.
Nick to
I was
get
gonna
to
say
Daisy. Yeah, because there's something else there, and we get all Nick's thoughts in the narration about he thinks Gatsby's a great bloke.
yeah,
Obviously,
there is
but
something else there.
there is
Which
for sure.
I noticed this time. I'm not sure if the same moment is in the book. I mean, it should be because it felt very important this time when I saw it. But like, basically, at first, I think Gatsby's more or less using Nick, but the moment where they kind of become friends, I think, is where, when Nick says to Gatsby that he'll do it, he'll bring Daisy over as a favor, and Gatsby has this moment where it's kind of like a favor. He's kind of like shocked, because everything for Gatsby is like so transactional. He's bribing all these politicians, senators. He's with these gangsters. He's putting on all these parties and like spending all this money for Daisy, right? So everything for Gatsby is transactional, and then he has this moment where Nick does this friendly thing for him, and I mean you can see Leo inject some emotion into that scene, which Gatsby is usually very calm and collected. So I think that is the moment where you actually see the friendship like take its roots, which like I never saw before, but it's so cool. Like it's probably my favorite moment in the film because it's like it's a cool moment.
Yeah. It's really cool, and then it persists as well because there's so many. I find it funny every time Gatsby. I think it happens a couple of times when Gatsby's like, Nick's got to go to work or whatever, and Gatsby's like, "No, stay. Let's swim. Let's have a dip." And it's just like, oh no, yeah, like the way Leo sort of really did that well, where he sort of just sort of swoons over Nick a bit at times, where it's like sees him as a true friend.
It's interesting that he invites Nick to like. He invites Nick over with like Daisy as well, and Nick's like, "Are you sure you want me to come?"
Yes,
but it's like I don't know if it's like a true friend thing or if it's like he wants an observer or if it's just like he like Nick just has to be there because he's the narrator, right? But
yeah,
but yeah.
There was they had, but the fact they highlighted that though that was a thing of like, are you sure you want me there? Like that feels important. I suppose it wasn't just like he was there, and that would if he was just there, like, and the scene was just and that was it. Then it would feel like Nick just has to be there because he's the narrator. But the fact they highlight that aspect of it is interesting. I feel like, I mean, I guess it goes back to something about Nick being the observer. I had this big idea. I don't know. Tell me if I'm nuts, right? There's this recurring image in the film of the eyes, the billboard with the glasses. It's in the poster, and like I think it's like the eyes of God, right? Like is what I think Jason Clarke has some VO about that. So it's like I guess it's like the objective view of like what these of their actions, and like the judgment of it or whatever. But I don't know. Is that to what extent is Nick that? I guess for Gatsby, where it's like when you pointed out that. Did Gatsby invite Nick over because he wants an observer? You know what I mean? I feel like there's something there. Like he needs someone to see the connection between him and Daisy, to see the love. He needs that like validation. I don't know, and maybe that in some way links to his he's when he goes too far about with Daisy and making her admit that she never loved Tom. I don't know. I feel like all these things are kind of connected. I'm sort of just throwing them out there a bit loosely, but I feel like there's something to, and obviously the fact that Nick's the narrator of the story sort of makes him feel like he's sort of our eyes in that way. But I don't know if there's a separation, I guess, between that visual in the film and that idea in the film. If like Nick's also is Nick the eyes, or is there also an extent to which Nick is being judged as well? I guess for his own actions. Every time Baz showed that billboard, I was like at first I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, God.
Dude, he showed it so many times. It was crazy. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like that is important as well. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on it, but I had to bring it up.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could relate it back to just like Gatsby knitting. Like everything is for show, I guess. But I don't know. There's definitely something deeper there, for sure.
Yeah. That's what this exact. I think this conversation so far has proven why the film is really interesting. It has all these. It's simple on the surface, but has all these layers that are quite complicated. God, okay. I don't even know where to go. I mean, I guess before we Leo's performance, we already mentioned it a little bit in terms of. I totally agree with you, Fitzy, when he brings that emotion at times, and sort of a new side of Gatsby breaks through. We see that when every time that they look, he looks off at Nick in the distance, when he's on the balcony or whatever. There's a few different times, and they I don't know. He sort of just breaks through where he sort of just starts smiling, and he's like, "Yeah, this guy's great." Yeah, it's just kind of cute.
Really?
But in general.
But isn't that supposed to be like a manufactured? Like at first, it's part of his whole guise, right? But like,
oh yeah. The first time, yes.
I do think later on you did get that kind of, that broski kind of feel to it.
Yeah. It definitely for real, definitely, definitely by the end. And when when Nick yells out his final, the last words he says to him that last time, they're a rotten crowd, but you're worth the whole damn bunch put together. And it's like there was I just thought the way Leo sold that in terms of there's no guys now, there's no front to him. We see that Nick just pulled the real guy out, kind of thing in that moment is how I read it. Because he just breaks down, he just sort of laughs and thinks it's great, So, in that sense, I thought the performance was really good. The amount of times he said "old sport" was insane. I don't know if that's meant to be an iconic part of this story. I had never heard of it, and he said it 50 times in the movie. I'm like, Jesus Christ! But it was funny, I don't know. I don't know. Is it Jane? Is it still funny to you? Is it still meant to be funny?
I don't mind it. It blends into the film for me at this point.
Sure, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. Oh, dude, I don't know. In terms of repeated words in films, this has to be up there, surely.
It's right up
but
there
it kind of becomes part of the texture. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, Leo was awesome. He had a big 2013, by the way, because then he had Wolf of Wall Street. But this film was delayed. They shot this film in 2011, and Baz needed more time to work on it in post, aka needed to work on all those green screen shots. So it was delayed a year and a half. So that's why. Because usually, Leo not so quick in his output, but that explains it. I guess because I brought it up. How do you feel about the visual? There's actually a fair bit to break down here in terms of Baz's style, but the visual presentation of the film, Jane, and I was just first time watcher. I don't know how you react to this now, having seen it so many times, but I was just shocked by the amount of CG in this film, just as a starting point.
I think I was probably most shocked by it this time, to be honest, about the amount of CG. Because, obviously, I was aware that, New York doesn't look like this anymore, so they can't shoot it in real life and shit like that. But I think it never really crossed my mind to pay too close. I think probably back in 2019, I think, when I was watching this film for media for some reason. I can't remember why. As it was part of my fucking my journal for media that year. And like I think that's when I first took notice of like the incredible amounts of fucking CG in it. But then I think this time kind of solidified just how present it is. But like I don't have an issue with it. Like, and like I don't think it was great all the time. But like that to me is just part of Baz Luhrmann. It's the same way that I don't mind the CG in Australia. I'm like, because like that's just Baz.
Right.
Like I'm like, not like bad CG can be like I mean maybe it can be like a stylistic choice, but like because I don't think it's bad. I just think it's obvious, and like I don't mind it being obvious because it kind of goes back to what Liam was talking about the garishness of like some of the like this kind of like opulence at the start. It kind of like reflects that in a way. So I think it all functions. I think had you told me, like, had I been completely fresh to this film and you told me that there's just a shoot amount of CG for every fucking scene in New York, I probably would have been like, well, that's gonna be shit house. But like, I don't know. I think it functions incredibly, and I think I've loved it like ever, like from always.
But that's the thing. I think you're right. I think Baz builds, like, it's just part of the world. It's just he builds this world for us to inhabit for 2 hours and 20 minutes or whatever, and that's just sort of part of it. And it sort of works for what it is. I was just surprised by it. Yeah, it wasn't a negative to me. I was just sort of, it took me back. Yeah, it's not what I think of when I think of a 20s period piece.
Yeah,
sort of create it digitally like this, but he did, and it was cool in a way. But also, like, it was jarring in the sense I wasn't expecting it. I guess I don't think there was anything inherently bad about it. I'm not sure how I felt about the Formula One sequences as much, but because they were pretty bonkers. And that was, I think that's also part of the style as well. And they're just super green screen heavy. But like, I don't know, tell me this: could those cars go that fast? Because they don't look like they can. I'm not saying they can't, but
well, I don't know. How fast do you think they're going?
Yeah. The film made them look like they were going 200 miles an hour, dude. It was pretty nuts. Zipping around. I love that mainly. I mean, when they were racing, like when they were meant to be sort of racing, like that was a bit better. Like that, the first scene where Leo's just meant to be sort of like he's obviously meant to be driving wildly. I get that, but like when he's still like when he's still talking to Tobey in some normal way, and he's going that fast, that was pretty nuts.
It was probably like fucking 60 k's an hour back then. Who knows?
Yeah, true. Actually, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's all relative. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. How do you
Liam,
feel about
did
this
the book tell you his speedo at all? Or?
That's right. Yeah.
Don't think so.
Did they zip around in the book like this?
Like, he was pushing 45 miles, and it was like,
yeah. Readers in the 20 were like, holy shit, this guy's a madman. 40 miles an hour. No, but I mean, it's probably like that. Yeah, that scene is kind of awkward, but I mean, it's New York, so I mean, you have a lot of like, the background probably makes it look a lot faster, right? Because there's so much shit happening, relatively in the set, right?
I guess it was that, and those were super. Like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen Leonardo DiCaprio do something so obviously just in the middle of a green screen. So that was kind of funny. I guess the CG stood out most there, but then also mostly in the way Baz sort of builds the establishing elements, like the environments, in terms of he loves in this movie. He loves the goddamn fake drone shots. You know what I mean? The goddamn CG, the CG, drone shots across the bay or like out of the apartment window or whatever it is, like to sort of give you a sense of place in the suburb or wherever we are. Like he does it a few times.
Yeah, but also like this film is constantly zooming in, or zooming out on characters.
That's a bad trait though. That's something back in Romeo and Juliet you can trace back there and maybe even further. I haven't seen more fucking Strictly Ballroom. Maybe it's there, but
sure,
the hard zooms, the slam zooms. That's just Baz.
Yeah. Yeah, he does not shy away from
it. I guess I haven't seen those, but like I feel like it's constantly zooming in, as if Nick's like getting sucked into the lifestyle or something. But like for this, like the CG, I think, it blends in. It's there to make a point and stuff. But I think there are a few points, and I think I mentioned it earlier with like the windows, the balcony scene, right, where I feel like there should be a more romantic element or a more subdued element, because those points aren't those moments aren't supposed to be a part of this kind of grander point. They're supposed to be this kind of other thing. And like with the bay scenes as well, we even get like CG water, which was a bit distracting. But yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not always great, but I like it because of how it sort of builds the geography of like the world that he's created. Like when I think of this film now, it's like I think of the bay and the two houses across from each other and that weird like apocalyptic suburb between them and the city where it's just
Valley
like,
of Ashes. Yeah.
the Valley of Ashes, dude. That was like a video game biome every time they showed that. Like, every time we did like an establishing shot of that place, it was like, goddamn, a video game biome. It was so dramatically different. But it was, you know what I mean? Like, that was obviously clearly highly exaggerated, but like I enjoyed that. And then the city in the background. Like, I think of those sort of three settings and how they connect. And the way he's doing that with these CG shots creates that idea of the setting in my mind, you know. So I think it's ultimately a pretty impressive thing, and I like it because it sort of immerses me in the time, you know.
Yeah, no, I think the CG is most impressive when it's like establishing the setting and stuff. But I just think like having it through every scene is like a bit much, because there are, you know, this is a book thing, I guess, but there are supposed to be those kind of moments of transcendence or like romanticism that don't work as well in this because the CG consists.
Yeah. Okay. I get what you mean. I do love a lot about the film's presentation as well. Like, first of all, I don't know if this is a book thing or another adaptation thing. Just the fact that Gatsby has his own logo and the way it's used is just
like
really cool.
The Art Deco kind of style.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
and
the
way
JG
it's
and like the
yes,
and like the floral thing, yeah.
Is I don't know. Do you guys know if that's a Baz thing or if that existed somewhere?
I mean, Art Deco, that's like a 20s style, right?
No, but you're not talking about Art Deco specifically, are you? You're talking about like his actual like
the fact that he has his own
his
logo integrated into it.
Yeah.
Did rich people have that?
I don't know, but yeah, I don't know if that's a book thing. But it's integrated into an Art Deco. Yeah, I mean, it's probably taken from.
Like billionaires maybe did do that with like they have their own branding in their house.
That's
it's probably like similar to like a family emblem or whatever the fuck, you know.
Yeah, possibly.
What do they call
like
it?
an evolved
Crest.
version of that.
Yeah,
an evolved version of that. But it's just literally just him. It's just Jay Gatsby. Like, I just thought it was really cool. I don't know. I thought it was really neat. The way it's obviously in the production design, but then the way it's used in like the title sequence and everything. I mean, the opening titles were awesome. I just love the black and white coming into the color. It's like we're entering. It's like coming from black and white into the golden, like into the era. You know, like
that's actually. I think that's my favorite scene. The No Church in the World playing over the kind of historical footage or whatever. That show was exciting. That was good.
That was really cool. Yeah. I loved. So I loved all that. I thought that was really neat. And yeah, you already brought it up. I was going to say the soundtrack. You already brought it up. It's funny, like. I think the hip hop sort of fades later into the film. I think it's mostly in the first half. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I noticed it most in the first half anyway. And I thought it really worked well in like every time. It felt like, it came up in that montage for sure. It came up like when he enters like the political lair of that, whatever that party was for the first time. Like it's sort of whenever it's like things are bustling, it sort of comes in. And it really suits that well. And it sort of, I don't know, it's funny because it sort of seems like an odd choice on paper, but it really worked. And it sort of dies away towards the end, which.
Well, Lana Del Rey kind of comes in more at the end, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that.
You're fucked. You're so dumb,
dude. He used that same Lana song 3 times. I'm like,
bro. No, okay. Fuck,
really,
dude. I was.
You still love it. It's like
I was about to start gushing about the score, but now you've said this, dude. I think the music in this is phenomenal. I think, it was never meant to be a hip hop score. Jay-Z fucking has like 2 songs on it, but it's meant to be like
it's more than 2 songs. But okay, keep going.
He's got $100 bill.
Yeah, the H to the Izzo, No Church in the Wild,
On
$100.
the
That's three
official
songs.
on the official listing, there's fucking only one here. In fact, but
Should we just listen through? What do you mean?
I don't give a fuck, mate. Look, the score is brilliant. The Lana stuff is fantastic. This is what got me into Lana in the first place back in fucking 2014. I think every instance, and I think the sound mixing is brilliant as well. The way that he blends Craig Armstrong's score, I don't know what he, but the way that Craig Armstrong's score blends with the pop songs made for the film and then taken from other parts of it and for the film.
Yeah.
And then like the XX song that keeps on coming back, which is I think it's called Together, but then it features on a track called Castle Gone Dark, something like that as well. And the kind of the blending of that riff in other songs that constantly throughout the film is brilliant, man. And I like it. It is fantastic. It is some of the best sound editing in terms of this non-diegetic way that I've ever heard, and that I will always love.
I agree, especially when the songs come in, like I want to say that one of the later party scenes, maybe like 2/3 of the way through, and they start coming in diegetically, and they're like covers of them or whatever. They're like time accurate versions of the songs. That's really cool. That's a really cool choice. I don't disagree with anything. I appreciate your passion. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. All I was saying was, when you heard "Do You Still Love Me" or whatever it is, for like the 5th time, where you're not a little bit like, I've heard this 5 times. Best.
No, dude, I listen to that shit.
I don't really like that song.
Dude, that's
crazy. To be honest.
That's
so maybe that's a me thing. But like, if it was just once, it's fine. He used the song. That's fine. Whatever. You used it like.
But it's so sick when the woman singing on Gladiator keeps on coming back. Oh, because it's such a cool motif. But this isn't a cool motif. Like, what the fuck are you on about, man?
Dude, you can overuse a motif. Anyway, it's fine. You used it a lot.
Oh, but it's so sick when you hear this audio cue, but not when it's this audio cue, because I don't like this audio cue.
That's
got taste,
take out the sarcastic sounding voice, and I stand by that 100%. But yeah. No. I honestly, generally do think the music was very good in the film, though, for sure. Fitzy, do you want to feel free to continue to sow dissension?
No, I just want to add, like, there was I mean, there was a subdued kind of Rihanna and Amy Winehouse stuff as well, which was added there.
Yeah.
Like the film, I mean, like it starts off with like the hip hop stuff, right, and then it kind of blends into pop and romance, kind of seamlessly. Yeah. So yeah, I think the score is pretty fantastic for the way it does that.
It's actually Beyonce and Andre 3000's version of Back to Black. Did you know that?
No shit, Andre 3000 is part of this film. That's cool. That makes this film so much cooler. Wow. 2 more points right there.
I felt that at the end with the final credit song, for sure, where it's funny, like musically, exactly what we're talking about. Like musically, the film just takes you somewhere. Like it just evolves. Where I don't know, from the start of the film, 20 minutes in, you told me what's going to be the final credit song. I'd be like, yeah, it's going to be some Jay-Z shit, and it's going to be sick. You know what I mean? But it just wasn't at all. It was kind of somber. It was a cool song. I don't know what.
Yeah, that's the XX song. Know. Yeah, Together.
Oh, that's the song you're talking about. I'm so sorry. Yeah, cool song. I liked it. And it was just, I don't know. It gave me this feeling over the credits that was nice. It kind of had this somber vibe to it, and it was only in the minutes leading up to that, and that song choice, that sort of made me realize, oh, this film's kind of a tragedy, and I didn't realize it at all. Like that, this is what I'm talking about, of like peeling back the layers, where it's like, and then I checked it when I was prepping the show, and I went to IMDb, and one of the second genre was like tragedy. I was like, oh, I wasn't insane for thinking that was kind of a tragedy, because I had no idea. I'm like, so that was kind of tragic, right? Because like, I don't know, I feel like that didn't really reveal itself to me at all until like probably the last 2 minutes. So that was that's what I was talking about at the start of, like, that was part of the cool experience watching it for the first time.
So is his tragic flaw love? Like what is his tragic flaw?
I don't think it's a Greek tragedy. I think it's just like a tragedy, right?
Okay, all right.
Well, I mean, it's for. I think it relates to our question of the week, right, Fitzy, in terms of the American dream.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't understand the whole time, like when you said this film's about the American dream. Like, I didn't understand that at all until like the final minutes. I was just like, "How's this about the American Dream?" I didn't get it. And I don't know if that's maybe more present throughout the whole book. I don't know, but like in this film, I did not see it. And then it all sunk in right at the end about how Gatsby. I mean, it's his story. He came from nothing, wanted everything, had everything in his mind. He just needed Daisy to complete it. The perfect vision or whatever. Like that's all he wanted.
Yeah.
But as Nick says, he didn't understand what was right in front of him. He wanted too much. He took it too far, and he died as a result, kind of thing. He pushed the
Yeah.
limits.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think the ending of the book is beautiful. Like those last lines, born, Cecil seen to the past, birds against the current.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, I mean, that's cool, but I like how, it's about the past and the future and trying to recreate the past, right? And it's like, the commentary is like, the American dream is never about the present, it's always about the past or the future, which is like a perfect kind of note to end the story on. But yeah, I mean, it is like fully about the American dream, and like, I mean, it's mainly in like just the fact is the rags to riches thing and creating this like big life for yourself, and yeah, the completionist element as well of having everything and greed and stuff. But yeah, that yeah.
Do you think it's an entirely negative take on it, or is it more of an observation of the nature of it?
I think it's more or less pretty negative. I mean, I think F. Scott Fitzgerald, Zelda Fitzgerald, which was like his girlfriend, right? That's kind of what Daisy is based off of, and I think he was kind of, I mean, he was in this kind of scene in America at the time as well. I think like some of these writers of this generation went off to Europe after like American, like their currency kind of got shit on, but like at this time he was very like he was as disgusted as Nick kind of becomes with this scene, because I think him and Zelda kind of got lost in it. So like I think for the most part it is supposed to be a full kind of admonition of the whole thing, but I mean, yeah, I mean the good parts, and this is kind of what I mean when I say like some of the romanticism kind of elements don't carry through. I think there are those parts of like, I don't know, like the hope of the light and that kind of thing, and that are good in the film, but they just don't carry exactly the same power. But like, yeah, those moments are few and far between. All the depravity that is created by the American dream, by the hope for by the striving for the American dream and all that shit. So yeah, I think it's supposed to be a full kind of,
Yeah.
admonition or whatever you want to call it of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think so. For me, no comparison in the book. I thought visually Baz did a great job communicating this, like in the whole use of the green light throughout the film, and then have it like that shot where like Leo's stretching out to it. It goes basically full symbolic at that point, but like stretching out to it, and then like it fading out in the end. I just thought that was all really stunning. That was all really well communicated. I don't know. I guess it links back. I like what you said about how the ending of the book's about how the American dream, it's never about the present, because that's what I got from it too. Like I think Gatsby's problem was that he was always, well, in that sense he was outstretched looking to the future, and like Nick says, he didn't take the moment to, he didn't recognize and appreciate what he'd already achieved, and that he already had Daisy, they're having a great time, having their, hanging out on their boat and doing all that shit. They're hanging out, doing their thing. He's won, he's done it. It's fine. But he still, the whole thing where he needed to admit, he needed her to admit that he never loved Tom. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
that's him outstretching. Whereas, if he was just present in the moment of understanding that Daisy loves him, it's great. It's good, And, in general, like, that's obviously a very hyper-specific example to the character. But if you want to take it as a general lesson of just, like, being more present and not being so obsessed with past, future things, I think that's a great theme in general.
Yeah. Well, there's, like, deeper layers to Daisy as well, which is, like, part of why he's so obsessed with Daisy is because, like, he's initially poor and he sees her as this kind of, the vision of, like, wealth and opulence and that kind of thing. So there's, like, symbolic, like, attachment that he has to Daisy. But also, like, the fact that he's kind of breaking up the marriage and stuff is another part of why Gatsby isn't, great in the sense of good.
But Tom's a piece of shit, so
yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess that justifies it a little bit, but yeah, it's the same with the bootlegging thing where you kind of say, oh well, it's not that bad, but there's still an element of wrongness to it. Yeah.
How are you meant to feel about Daisy? Just curious about your.
How do you feel about Daisy, Jaden?
No, I think it's better if I answer after you. Yeah.
No, I mean,
as a book enjoyer.
Really? Just from the film alone? What do you get from Daisy?
No. You tell me what.
That's right. You go first.
I asked the question.
Okay. Making me do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know, because, like, I think we're supposed to more or less agree with Nick in the end that Daisy and Tom are careless people. But also there's enough, I think, in the chaos of the whole situation that unfolds to, like, make Daisy, like, a little bit of an empathetic character.
Yeah.
So did you say empathetic or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sympathetic.
Because I was about to use the word apathetic, and
oh yeah,
because I think mainly comes from her description of having a daughter, and how the best thing you can be in this world as a girl is a pretty little fool, and she just doesn't. And there's just this air of apathy around her that seems to go away when she's with Gatsby, but then as soon as she's in trouble at the end, it kind of comes back and she doesn't care. And, it's all gonna be okay because she's gonna go away.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, like, when Nick asked her about her daughter, she kind of, like, is reminded, that she has a daughter.
Yeah. Where the hell is their daughter?
Yeah. Does she even make an appearance? I don't know.
She comes at the end. Yeah. They explain to her that they're going away. Just when Nick calls and the servant answers.
I thought that. Yeah. I don't remember.
Was the daughter there?
Yeah, she explains to the daughter that we're going away, just me, you, and Daddy, or whatever the fuck she says.
Dude, I don't know if you watched the director's cut. I did not see that shit.
Is the daughter like? It's not a baby, like a
no,
child,
she's like a 7-year-old.
Oh, I did not.
You're joking.
No,
I did not see her.
Yeah,
I swear to God.
Where did you watch the film?
Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix.
Yeah, I believe you. I'm just like, what the fuck? So, yeah, no, I remember like that scene where, like, and then the servant's looking down at the balcony, sort of looking down at when they get, they say, but there's a kid there. Oh, okay, all right, fair enough. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that she feels very absent throughout the film is maybe saying something.
Yeah. So no, I see her as an apathetic bitch.
Oh my God!
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I definitely don't have that's why I'm not sure how much I'm meant to, like, buy into the relationship of Gatsby and Daisy, because, like, how much of it is a front? Well, for both of them, how much of it how much of it is a front for both Gatsby and for Daisy,
Right. It's kind of like what Gatsby gets from Daisy is, like, it's partly like a symbolic thing of, like, her wealth and stuff and beauty, and then for Daisy, it's kind of like she's a cynical, apathetic character, and Gatsby kind of breathes like life into her.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship where they're feeding off each other in toxic, ways, I guess. So yeah, I think the relationship is supposed to be compromised a bit in that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Jay eventually achieves what he wanted Daisy for originally, and then I think, yeah, Daisy would have always been Daisy.
I think Carey Mulligan is great. That was Daisy, and Joel Edgerton as Tom. I think is also pretty great.
Oh, dude, he's fantastic.
He is great.
Dude.
Yeah,
I was reading
his
some of the
accent.
like other casting that was meant to happen. No way, man. Joel's.
Who was Joel?
Who was it again?
I saw Ben Affleck was meant to move into it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But there was someone actually else intended, but then had to drop out. Oh no, it was Ben. Yeah, because he had to drop out for Argo. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I did.
Which like Ben would have been great. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like that is just his role. At the end of the day. But I think Joel is fantastic in it and is as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, speaking of Carey Mulligan, she revealed that she disliked her performance as Daisy, and she believed the vast scale of the project overwhelmed her at the time. So after completing it, she focused on smaller films with more tightly knit casts and crews. I thought she was great in the film, but it's fine. Like, I just wanted to include that because I think like you can see that in her filmography. I think that's pretty evident. So that's interesting to trace it back here and see the cause.
Even if you look at like she hadn't been around for very long before getting this role, you know.
No,
like because if they were filming in like 2011 as well, like she was, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Director Baz Luhrmann based his interior layout of Jay Gatsby's Long Island mansion on the high school which he attended in Australia.
Oh shit!
What fucking high school did he go to?
Bro, the $50,000 a year private schools, man.
Yeah, it was like
he went to like what's above Geelong Grammar at this point?
Xavier College, is that the expensive one in Melbourne?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Or like the other, like, dude, there's probably some that you haven't even heard of because they're that fucking rich that there's just no business in.
That's right.
That's right. It's like
they're basically their own secret society. Yeah.
And you won't hear of them until there's a scandal, and the paper loves to hop on about it.
That's right. I think Baz exposed himself here and exposed his secret school that he went to. Yeah, it was very funny though. They shot this in Sydney, and it was very funny. Like at times when like there's like 4 Australian actors all talking to each other in these like 20s American accents. That made me. I like that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Outside the big three, like it's like the next like second tier of actors are all Aussies.
They're all Aussies. Yep, 100%. Luke wrote in his review for The Great Gatsby, and he said, "I heard once that one of Australia's biggest exports, like him or not, is Baz Luhrmann. Australian films that tend to cut through internationally push against taste. They take risks being bad in order to be brilliant. They make choices which may not be the right choice, but they provoke and are interesting. The Great Gatsby is no stranger to this notion. It certainly risks being bad, music choice, colour, editing, but ultimately stands out as brilliance. Baz draws us into his world and has produced a film worth of its namesake great. Leo captures the character of Gatsby effortlessly, followed only by Tobey. It's been a while since I've been extremely satisfied at a film's ending and message. 4 out of 10. Then I read this right as he posted it last night, and I was so confused. And then it's an 8 out of 10, and he was just trying to do the little women review again. He got me. Yeah, he got me again. Unbelievable. Yeah, it worked. Thanks, Luke. I think AI wrote that, but that's cool.
Really? You reckon that wrote AI?
The Great Gatsby is no stranger to this notion. It certainly risks being bad. Music choice, color, editing.
That's spooky. That's Luke.
That reads like him, mate.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I guess Luke reads like AI.
I just want to, like, also just like there is like a lot of things that just talking about tracing, like from early, like the slam zooms from Romeo and Juliet to here. I think like also the soundtrack is another way, and just in terms of modernizing adaptations of like classic material, everything you see here he does also do in Romeo and Juliet. It is very much something established and like is a trait of his when it comes to adapting things like these. The soundtrack as well, on that soundtrack for Romeo and Juliet, you got bands like Garbage and Radiohead and shit, and it's meant to be this grunge reflection of the times of the 90s. It's very much adapting that for the time. I don't know how much this is adapting Great Gatsby for the 2010s. I'm not overly familiar with that early period of the 2010s. Obviously, I lived through it, but I was very young. So
Yeah.
I'd say that there's something to that as well.
I think so.
But yeah, I think a lot of the things in this can be explained away as also just a trait that of his when adapting material. Yeah.
Yeah. Jane, you mentioned the editing at the start. Is there
Yeah.
anything you wanted to?
I just think it's brilliant. I think the way it uses like kind of it's like crossfades and like playing with like the floating words and the opacity change and all that shit.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think like its use of montage is brilliant.
Yeah.
And obviously we're already talking about the sound editing with its mix of music and you know you wrote the blend of the non-diegetic into the diegetic. I just think I think it's some of the best editing ever. And obviously huge shout out to his wife. Who worked on the costumes and the production.
Yeah, Catherine.
Catherine, Catherine,
yeah.
Oh
man, this movie, the movie moved so fast, it was crazy.
Mm.
But yeah, it was really good. All right, final verdicts. Great Gatsby, Fitzy.
I'll keep it as a 7. I kind of thought it'd be on the lower side, but I mean, talking about it kind of boosted it up for me, I guess. So, I mean, the main thing is, I guess, that I didn't really talk about was like how much actual enjoyment I get out of the characters. Because they are all supposed to be a bit compromised, and I guess it is hard for me to kind of get involved in any one of them. But like, it's like as Jane kind of talked about. I mean, there's kind of a satisfaction just in identifying yourself with a kind of observer character, a passive character in that way. So I think in terms of getting satisfaction out of the characters, that is the angle in which I get it from. But I don't get it from like Gatsby per se, or like any of the other characters like Daisy or Tom. So like, yeah, there is that. But yeah, I'll give it a 7. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'll slap an 8 on it.
Damn.
Great film. Damn. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, exactly. Jaden.
10. Yeah, that's what it's start for you guys. This moves up into the upper echelon,
into the stratosphere. Wow.
Nice, very good. There's no news chat because I killed it. So now it's time for our highlights of the week. Jaden, what have you been watching?
No one wants to hear it because it's old news now. But I rewatched Arcane season 1.
I thought you sucked me in. I thought you were
it's all it's no one wants to hear about it because Arcane season 2 is obviously the talk of the town. But I committed to the rewatch before starting season 2. And happy I did because I think I definitely forgot a lot of things that happened, or just kind of like a lot of the plot beats and how shit fell out. And it just remains exceptional. It really does kind of solidify itself as like one of the best TV shows of that, like, I'm gonna be quite like that I've ever seen. Not that I've really seen too much great, proper great stuff TV wise. But yeah, I think I fell in love with the characters in the same way and the world in the same way. And it was very much a warranted rewatch. It's got me very keen to go through season 2, even though I've seen just about every spoiler you can, thanks to Twitter. So.
Oh, I haven't heard a word about season 2. Got no idea. Bro, like everyone could think it's terrible for all I know.
Dude, these things come out, and you like it's literally same day spoilers. Like you can't avoid shit, man. It's so dumb.
It's terrible.
So fucking.
That's
dumb.
terrible. I feel so sorry for you. That's terrible. So you haven't dived in at all yet?
Not yet. No, I'll probably start tomorrow. I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about, am I going to get it done before awards or not?
Well, that's what I want to get it done before awards. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. We'll see. I might give it a crack. But yeah, I've got no idea what happened in season 1. Not the slightest idea. I need a recap or something.
That's why I watched it, because like I think you were saying 2 weeks ago or whatever. Like it's like, yeah, I need to watch like a long recap video before I start season 2.
I do.
And I was like, I've got a long recap video I can watch.
Hell yeah. Fitzy, you were saying last week you're not feeling it. You're not doing it.
No, I just I didn't feel it when I might. I don't know. I tried. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just that day, but maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the fact you're even a maybe, I thought you were so high on season 1.
Yeah, I was, but maybe it's a Jane thing. Maybe it's a general thing where I need to rewatch some episodes or something, because I rewatched the
Right.
recap, but I still have really no idea um, about with the kind of depth of what's happening. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, that's cool. We watched season 1 of Shrinking on Apple TV Plus. This is the show from the producers of Ted Lasso. So you know Roy from Ted Lasso, Fitzy.
Mm.
He's like one of the creators of this show.
Oh really? Huh.
So it's kind of got Ted Lasso energy a little bit, but it's about a goddamn psychologists in America. So it's not the same thing. But Harrison Ford's in it, which is great. I've never seen Harrison Ford in a TV show in my life. So the fact he's 80 years old on TV was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. I do have to say though, the show's really woke and it really annoyed me. It's terrible. There's a gay man in it. There's two black characters in it. I didn't like that at all. So I have to definitely, I thought about review bombing it for that. Um, I feel like my delivery was too dry.
Yeah, it was too dry to
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of.
And I feel like I probably should have started with it and then went positive,
Yeah.
and then made it clear I was joking and then went positive. I feel like I fucked that whole thing up.
Yeah, I
should
think
probably
you
cut
did.
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Actually, no, the show's really good. I actually enjoyed it. It's not as good as Ted Lasso, if you want to use that as a point of comparison. I don't know. They're both like similar, creative teams, like I said. But then also they've got I don't know. They're both 30-minute Apple TV dramedies kind of thing, I guess. But so it's not as good as that. Jason Segel's really good. I guess the thing that surprised me most was just how, like I said, it's really fun seeing Harrison Ford on TV and in this kind of role where like his face is sort of front and center on the poster because it's Harrison Ford, but like he is very like it's an ensemble show and like he's very much an equal in the ensemble, which I enjoyed a lot. Like it wasn't like he didn't feel like it was being used any differently or anything like that. So it was just I don't know, it was just fun to see him in the mix with all these other actors and characters in a comedic way, and he had some really funny lines, and I thought he was my favorite in the show, to be honest. So my favorite character and my favorite performance. So I know it was just fun seeing him in that light. I guess I just haven't. I'm so used to seeing him in like I don't know. He'll turn up every few years in some like big blockbuster thing to get his paycheck. It's kind of the vibe I get from him these days. So this was a stark contrast to it. So I enjoyed that. But yeah. Fitzy, what have you been watching?
I watched Pat Garrity and Billy the Kid, which is the movie where Bob Dylan did the soundtrack, the Western, and he won an Oscar for it, which is deserved enough. It was he wrote "Knocking on Heaven's Door" for it. Jane doesn't like Bob Dylan, so he's exited the scene.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it's very interesting. It's kind of like a Red Dead esque. I mean, there's a ton of westerns that kind of do this thing. I mean, like Unforgiven, and apparently, like even older westerns had this kind of thing. But the end of the Wild West kind of western story. Basically, like an older, an older an older outlaw who's become like the sheriff has to hunt down this newer outlaw, Billy the Kid, who was a real person, is a historical figure. Back already might be too, I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of like he has to hunt down, he has to kill Billy the Kid, and he's kind of trepidatious to do so because he was like a father figure to him, basically, or he's like his friend, basically. So he has a very resigned energy throughout the whole film, where he's just kind of like accepting of his new position, but he still kind of does things in in an outlaw-ish way. He doesn't like abide fully by the law, or he doesn't really embody the sheriff role fully. He's still kind of this outlaw figure. But yeah, well, first of all, Chris Christopherson as Billy the Kid is like fantastic. He's like just this really like charismatic, vivacious, lively outlaw. And Pat Garrity is kind of in stark contrast, but you can see the connection that they have. Like the film is just like the embodiment of like resignation and like it is what it is kind of, which is really like interesting. Yeah, like the film has hardly any emotion to it at all, except like in the end where you kind of see the Like Pat Garrett is. It's not even like he's massively regretful. He is, I guess, but he's regretful of like just the way things have changed and stuff. So yeah, the film has an emotional, tone to it in a way I've never kind of seen before. In that way, where it's kind of like it has this, it has this baseline tone throughout, I guess. But yeah, like in terms of like grand emotional scenes, that it does kind of have that. Like there are these knocking on heaven's door like kind of sequences, but it's never fully. I mean, I wasn't invested in that in like in the sense that I usually am with films. It was just kind of like those things were there, but um, I hope I'm doing justice describing this. But it's like the film's very matter of fact in a way. There are these good shootout sequences and stuff, but like people just die like very unceremoniously, and the killing has no sense of regret or like like no sense of anything to it. It's just death. I don't know. So it's very interesting. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic film, really. Just for that sense of like that it is what it is that pervades throughout the whole film. I don't know. Yeah, that's great. And Bob Dylan's soundtrack is pretty fantastic as well. Bob Dylan is in the film. He's definitely not the best part of the film, but it's pretty distracting actually. Like there's this one scene where he doesn't have dialogue for like the second half of the scene, and it's very awkward. It's almost like the director, Sam, he didn't like want him to speak or something. But like he did have some good scenes. It was just like sometimes his face was very distracting, and his acting wasn't like amazing. So yeah, but great soundtrack, deserving of the Academy Award. But yeah, very good Western film.
That sounds very interesting thematically. I need to know, how long was it?
Oh, not long. It was like an hour 50 or something.
Oh, okay. All right. And where'd you watch it?
YouTube. Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Oh, nice. Is Jaden coming back? Or?
Not clear. And what else is there?
Oh, shit. Just say his name and he appears. Yeah. Nice. All right, perfect timing. Now comes the segment where we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what is your favourite movie about the American dream? Dr. Luke said, The Founder. Time to redo the podcast. Dude, when I was researching this, there was like a shocking amount of people that were saying The Founder for this. I was like, really? Like, I didn't realise The Founder resonated this hard. If only the episode lived. But there you go. Luke also says, Paul says Field of Dreams. But Paul wrote in and said The Natural. Roy Hobbs is an all-time American hero. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for writing in. Great to hear from you. And I don't know what the hell your son's thinking. Did he just mix it up because they're both baseball movies? Or, I don't know, did Paul maybe...
Is Field of Dreams on with Tom Hanks? No?
Kevin Costner.
No. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Is that the one where he...
And then Robert Redford.
Tom Hanks is A League of Their Own.
Oh, yeah,
with Madonna and stuff.
Yeah. So there you go. Luke just got totally superseded by Paul there. But I'm really glad that Paul wrote in and corrected, made sure it correctly got out there. So that's really good. Andy wrote in and said, The Room is my favourite movie about the American dream, and I don't even need to watch the full thing. It really has to be up there as the best one, written and directed by an authentic Yankee from New Orleans. Yeah, right, sure. Okay. All right, very good. So, movies about the American dream.
Andy didn't have an actual answer?
That's all he had.
Oh, come on, Andy.
You'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
Come on, Andy. Come on. Boo. Boo. Jen, I'll go to you.
If I research something, I'm sure something else would have come up, but like it is just this film, and I'm happy to leave it at that for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you guys will say something like, "Oh yeah." But,
Oh, you mean The Great Gatsby?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry. What did you think I was saying when I said this film?
I thought you were you were going to reveal what it was. It is this
okay.
film.
Yeah. So
Oh,
this
what
film
is
that
it?
we've been
Yeah,
talking
I was
about for an
leaning in.
hour, you know. I was like,
Oh, okay. I don't know. Fair enough. Fizzy.
Documentary wise, Hoop Dreams is like pure American Dream.
I always hear about this one. Yeah.
I think I talk about it. I think I use it quite a bit as like an answer cheat code, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, oh yeah, it is so American Dream. Like it is the quintessential American Dream documentary film. Like yeah, like the striving towards greatness, the class conflicts, the
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, the cities like the Chicago, like oh my god, like basketball. It is such an American Dream type film. But I'm looking at a list of actual fictional films here. It's a Wonderful Life is yeah, it's yeah, it doesn't have the same like grandeur, I guess, as other. American Honey, I guess, is my answer. American Honey is a very like divisive film, I guess, because like I think it's very stylistically strong, and it's quite bold, I guess. But it's I think in terms of the American Dream, it's very focused from like the kind of like the poverty kind of angle, I guess. Like trying to get out of that, I guess, is one of the main tenets of the American Dream. But like travel as well, like the new horizons and that kind of thing is a key part of the film. So I don't know. I remember being like totally won over by that film, but I want to rewatch it because it's been a while. But yeah, those two, Citizen Kane as well as I guess another one, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have a strong answer in terms of the fictional ones actually, but Hoop Dreams definitely.
Sure.
American Dream.
I mean, my favorite movie about the American Dream is The Most Violent Year, to be honest. Should have talked about it a few weeks ago, but I'm glad no one's disputing it. Doesn't count. That's great. Yeah, no, it definitely counts.
Well, you mentioned that in your review, didn't you? Or like in your letterbox write up, or like when you were speaking about it a few weeks ago, I think you mentioned that it was the American Dream, right?
Did I?
I think you did, and that's why I was like, that's why I'm happy to accept it without.
Maybe it's in the synopsis or something.
Because I thought you brought it up. Maybe I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I might have. I'm not saying I didn't. I have no idea. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's probably the film I think about the most in terms of that. It just encompasses all that so well. You know, ambition, the downside of it, and all that. You know, all those themes. You know, they're pretty obvious to people, but it just deals with them all, and they all conflict very nicely in the film. And with Miguel as a character. Is that his name? No, that's not his name. Oh my god, it's totally no.
That's from Spider-Man.
That's from Spider-Man. It's his Spider-Man character. Oh my god, Abel. Thank you. Yes. Anyway, yeah. So that one's really good, and of course, I mean the setting, like 80s New York. He's like the whole thing is that he's trying to buy this piece of land, and he's in debt and more debt, and then he's like maneuvering. It's great. That works really well. I saw people answering this one, Fitzy. How much do you feel like There Will Be Blood is about the American Dream? Because I don't disagree with it. But I feel like it's not the first thing I think of either.
Yeah. I think in broad strokes, like, kind of just like the ranks to riches thing, and like the gold, the whole, the resource dependent thing is like, I mean, I guess that was a big thing in California.
Yeah.
Early 20th century, before that era. But I mean, I think it's hard because like Daniel Plainview doesn't represent doesn't represent that at all for me. Like, there's
Yeah.
no sense of family or anything to it, or like those other parts. He just the other quintessential parts of the American Dream aren't really part of his character at all. So yeah, it's hard to reconcile that.
That's right.
Like his
Yeah.
solitariness and all that.
Yeah.
So like he's too unique of a character to like pigeonhole him in that way into the American Dream mythos, but also in broad strokes, yeah, it is kind of American Dreamish.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's fun. Like I think the film's more about greed and capitalism, which is related, obviously, in some way to the American Dream, but like they're not exactly the same. And I think you can focus on one more than the other. And I think the people doesn't really focus on the American Dream aspect because of plain view as a character. I agree. It's not to say he doesn't, like, if you put it on paper, he doesn't have an American Dream story, I guess, but like it doesn't really feel like what the film's really doing. So I'd say that, I guess, but I don't know. I'm surprised. Does Inside Llewyn Davis not come to mind for you?
Have you seen? Oh, you have seen it. Why?
Yeah.
Why would that be American Dream?
I don't know. Just on, like, struggling singer. You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of the American Dream in a sense.
No.
Really?
Yeah, nah.
I feel like artistic expression can't really factor into the American Dream when it's all about like upward mobility in like a financial way, whereas like singing is like an artistic thing. It's like it's too expressive to be a part of the American Dream.
Really? What you say? So what, you're saying that what, because he's an artist, it doesn't count? Is that what you mean?
In a way.
Well, I think I slightly disagree. Like, I think like Inside Llewyn Davis is probably based off of like Bob Dylan at the whole like Greenwich Village scene, which I think is like you could definitely factor that. You could definitely like make an American Dream argument for that. Because I mean, I don't know. Dylan used. I mean, he went all over America to like do his shit, right? So like, it's the kind of landscapes and the just the scale of America is a part of that.
Yeah.
But I think Llewyn Davis as a character is like totally anti like American Dream, just because he's a very like very aggressive, stagnant character.
Sure.
I don't
sure.
see he doesn't strive for anything really.
That's true.
So that's why it's not American Dream to me. But like in terms of that scene, like yeah, for artists it's their version of like American Dream. Yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, I agree with you. I was more thinking of that aspect of it, but like, the film better than me. I've seen it once, and like, when you point that out about the character, that's totally true. Yeah. I can't disagree. So yeah, I had the best answer. It's the most violent year because I had the good fictional movie answer. I had the good. Come on, guys. Yeah. Let's go.
Bro, I knew you'd say that. I was thinking last night. I was up at like 4:30 a.m. I was like, what's Zach's answer gonna be? It's gonna be a most violent year.
I'm glad that's what you're thinking about at 4:30. That's great. Oh god. Okay. As always, we'd love you to submit your responses, thoughts, and/or reviews for next week's film in the YouTube or Instagram comment section, or join the Discord server. The specific question we'll be asking you is, what is the best Hollywood family?
Yep, we're gonna drop some hardcore Theroux family lore on you guys.
Family tree, ancestry. Let's go. Yeah, it's gonna be huge. I can't wait. Okay, but that's it for this week's episode. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Fitzy, what are we doing next week?
We're doing Drive Away Dolls, directed by Ethan Cohen, I believe. Not to be confused with Ethan Cohen, yeah. Who did what? Idiocracy and stuff like that. Brothers, yeah.
Get Hard.
Yeah, and it's on Netflix. So yeah, it's kind of got. I mean, I was very excited to see this film. It was like one of my most anticipated films of this year. But I mean, the reviews have kind of hindered those expectations. But I'm excited
Okay.
to see it anyway. So yeah,
Yeah, cool. Is Margaret in this?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Margaret
Cool.
Qualley. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, that's it. I appreciate Liam and Jaden for joining me as always. Have a great rest of your week, peeps, and goodbye.